Welcome, Charlie Sykes.
It is great to be back on a
It is,
beautiful day in May.
yes, where it's warmer in Wisconsin than it is in New York.
Rarely,
So,
but
rare,
yes, it
but it
is.
happens. Donald Trump published his financial disclosure forms, which is a buoy for him because my man is
Yeah.
not hot on following the law. Regulatory filings published by the U.S. Office of Government Ethics, which is now like two people, probably.
I was surprised there even was one anymore.
Right?
I
Weren't
fi I
you a
figured they would
little?
have gotten rid of that, like, on day 1. There's actually someone who goes to work in the government ethics office
That's
during the
right.
age of Trump. I mean,
Right.
just sit on that for a
It
moment.
yeah. No, it's 2 people. You thought they were
Yeah.
both fired by Doge
Right.
for being too woke,
Yeah.
because numbers are woke. Regulatory filings, I wanna just read this to you before just so because I think the companies are they speak to something. So, it shows transactions involving Tesla, NVIDIA, Apple, Meta, Visa,
Hmm,
Citi,
hmm.
Boeing, Qualcomm, and GE Aerospace.
Wow.
Discuss.
Well, it seems to be a pattern there, right? I mean, his tech bro oligarchs, and the kinds of things that stocks you might wanna buy if, I don't know, you thought you might be going to war or increasing defense spending, those sorts of things. Very interesting. And again, one of those stories that you kind of, you know, your eyes get a little bit bigger, but they shouldn't be surprising to anybody. I mean, is there right now, is there any ripoff or scam that Donald Trump is not only capable of, but actually doing right now? I mean, we've moved past capable, right? We are
Right.
into it's like, does somebody sit around and think, what grift can we get for Eric today?
Yeah.
What rip off? How can we rip off the MAGA masses again today? Is there a
Speak
checklist somewhere?
right. And speaking of Eric, Eric and his wife, who's called Lara, who's also a
Mm,
Fox News
no,
something,
of
were
course.
on the trip to China. The trip where Donald Trump announced all of the things he's
There.
gotten from Xi, which are nothing.
Well, it was interesting. Yeah, I mean, most investors apparently are thinking of this as kind of meh. I mean, you
Right.
got the Boeing deal, 200 planes.
You're
Boeing
supposed to
thought
get
they were going to sell 500. Soybean deal, but no grand bargain. Kind of. Well, look, I suppose the good news is that at least he didn't overtly publicly throw Taiwan under the bus. Now, what he said in private, who the
who
hell?
knows? Yeah.
Yeah. But it was interesting. I mean, the optics and the substance of bringing along that, the trillion-dollar oligarch entourage, what, to impress the Chinese or to basically show that, Donald Trump with his phalanx of billionaires and trillionaires around him at a time when there are I mean, and he did this the day after he said that he didn't actually ever think about the financial condition of average Americans.
Mhm.
Then he gets on a plane with the richest men in the world. And so, I don't know. And then he comes back, of course, talking about I'm having a hard time keeping up with it. Ballroom, reflecting pond, new golf course, and he's bragging about his TikTok views. So
Yeah.
at least he's based, right?
Well, I also think just like the crew he took with him, you had some people who are serious
Yeah.
entrepreneurs and who are,
Right.
Tim Cook,
Right.
or as we call him, Tim Apple, is no one's idea of a silly guy or even a particularly partisan actor, though he has become
Yeah.
de facto
The,
part of
the,
this
yeah.
world.
The suck up
But
brigade.
the Sucker Brigade. But Elon, brought one of his many children, made insane faces. I think that his weird behavior may have also broken through a little bit.
Well, maybe, yeah. I mean, so Elon Musk brings his kid along to China and is apparently stoned out of his mind. I mean,
Right.
what can I say?
And
I mean, it
I mean, he
was.
seems odd. He seems like he's behaving not in a way that seems normal.
We are living in an age in which more and more people do seem like their brains are being broken progressively. Have you noticed
Yeah.
this?
Yes, I have.
It's a
Mhm.
phenomenon. So speaking of scams, I mean, it's
Yeah.
hard to keep up with all these. I mean, you and I do this for a living. How
Right.
about the report of the Trump slush fund that he wants to create, the $1 billion slush fund to pay off his cronies and the January 6th rioters and everything? This apparently is, and you may have more information than I do. this is apparently in lieu of his $10 billion ripoff of the IRS. He was suing the IRS,
Right.
and then he was negotiating with his own, with his own acting AG bitch, Todd Blanche, to give him the
Yes.
money. And apparently he's backing off on the complete, like, ripping off the taxpayers that way and creating this slush fund for MAGA types. And you just can't, I mean, you just can't,
It
fathom the depths of the corruption here.
it's clearly a bribe, right? Like, just like the pardons were a
Oh,
bribe.
sure.
If you're
Oh,
for
yeah.
me, you'll get yours,
Right.
right? Like mafia. But I do think it's interesting. It's that, like, you have this broad coalition of Americans who are saying, like, mad about inflation, mad about the gas. I mean, the gas prices. Like, I feel like, so you go to the pump, you pay $1 more for a gallon of gas than you did 4 weeks ago, and you are greeted with news that your president has, he's not asking for $10 billion anymore. He's just asking for 1.5 billion for a slush fund and then 1 billion for a ballroom, which the parliamentarian, that Senate parliamentarian was like, no, no.
We're not gonna do it that way. And of
Yeah.
course, he announced that he's gonna do this now statue garden on the golf course, and it really is kind of an extraordinary moment of, if you and I were writing the script for the movie of tone deafness, I think, some executive producer would say, "Okay, you guys are it's a little bit over the top now. It's a little bit
Yeah.
over the top." But no,
Yeah.
this is where we're at. And he really, he's in that YOLO phase,
Right.
that he does he just doesn't give a shit about this
Right.
stuff. But the
Yeah.
slush fund, and then, of course, I hope you've been following the whole Trump phone scam, which is actually
Yes.
kind of one of my favorite stories because I think
Talk
it's
about the
relatable.
Trump phone
Well,
scam, because
right,
it's a scam, all
it's
right.
well, I mean, this is what's great about this. I mean, as of so they got 590,000 buyers to pay $59 million for Trump's golden phone, which he announced. And then, of course, it didn't come, it didn't come, it didn't come, and they posted on their website that basically, yeah, it's probably never actually going to come. I mean, so you had all of these people believed in the possibility of these phones and paid for it like a year ago. So not one phone had been shipped. I think that it looked bad. There was a possibility of some lawsuits. So they
Yeah.
announced quickly yesterday that they're going to be sending out the phones. Okay. Did you read about this? As far
Yes,
as
keep going.
it's apparently, this is from a tech expert. Um, this is an off-the-shelf rebrand of a device made by WingTech called the Revel 7 Pro 5G, and was available at T-Mobile for $0. And so basically what they did, the 7 Pro has been replaced by the 8 Pro because the thing is over 18 months old. So it's basically a bunch of old stock they bought and are shipping out to avoid a lawsuit. So it's like, we got caught scamming you. So how are we going to respond? By being even scammier.
Yeah. No,
What a
and I
thing.
mean, I do think, like, what are you doing, man? Like,
Yeah,
what are
what
you
is she doing?
doing? Like, but Trump steaks, Trump University, Trump water, Trump. It's never going to be our government right now. Like, it does feel like it's funny to me though. Like, the thing I'm so struck by, and you and I have been doing
Mhm.
this for just such a long time,
A
is like
century and a half.
yeah, is that the fact that, like, the American people have just been like, gas is too expensive, as opposed to, like, it's the democracy, it's the pandemic, it's the killing the million supporters, it's the measles outbreak. No, no, it's just the gas prices.
Yeah, I mean, that seems to be the one thing that is dominating everything. And again, everybody knows this, but the price of gas when it goes up is not just the price at the pump. It means the price of everything goes up. Everything that moves, everything that goes in a truck or a train or an airplane is going to be more expensive or harder to get. So,
Yeah.
the irony, of course, is that, Donald Trump again makes all these many, many promises, including that he's going to end inflation on day one. And what does he do? He goes and starts a war that he cannot figure out how to finish. That's driving all this up. Hey, but the good news is, can I mention one other thing that we didn't actually talk about before? It gets lost in all this. Do you know what? And I feel guilty about this because I just put out my Friday newsletter and I didn't mention it. The single weirdest story of the week. from
Please.
Donald Trump's
This
point of
is the
view.
kind of thing
You
I love.
you you might have actually even missed it. When Donald Trump actually bleated out, that he's seriously considering making Venezuela the 51st state, and he actually
Oh,
posted a map. Okay, he's trolling us, right? But then they came out and said, "No, no, he's seriously considering because it's got like, a gazillion trillion dollars worth of oil, which is the way
gas,
he thinks."
yeah.
But you know why it's the weirdest story? Here's Donald Trump, and with everything we know about Donald Trump. Donald Trump just proposed adding 30 million Hispanics to the United States population. You want to talk about, open borders, 30 million Venezuelans who would become US citizens, right?
Right.
Eligible for Social Security and Medicare, able to travel anywhere in the United States. It's like after
Yeah.
all of this, all of the ICE raids, everything, all the building the
Yeah.
border wall, what
Yeah.
Donald Trump has come up with a proposal to admit 30 million Hispanics into the United States. And it's so perfect in terms of just the way Donald Trump's mind is working right now. And I wish there had been a little bit more conversation about it because it is the weirdest story of the week, isn't it?
It is so insane, and it is also one of the things about the story that Trump has gotten here by alienating all these other countries.
Yeah,
Like, right, he tried to end NATO by wanting to go to war
yeah,
and steal Greenland from the Danes. I mean, just like remember that was earlier in this season. And
yeah.
then he was saying Canada, he was going to make Canada the 51st state. So it's funny, it goes to the original sin of Trumpism, which is not thinking things through at all.
Right. No plan B whatsoever, just
Or plan
pure
A.
under yeah, or right, yeah, the plan A's are pretty sucky. Actually, when you were talking about all of the Trump products, the Trump University, the Trump vodka, the Trump water, Trump accomplishing something that few other human beings have ever done, which is to run a casino and go bankrupt. I
Hmm.
mean, to actually casinos exist to make money, right?
Yeah.
And I had this kind of PTSD flashback from, 10 years ago, being on a radio show in Milwaukee before Donald Trump was elected, trying to go through all of the businesses that Donald Trump had bankrupted. And trying to break through this belief, well, Donald Trump is a successful businessman. Well, I saw Donald Trump on The Apprentice and, X, Y, and Z.
Hmm.
And 10 years ago, just going through all of the scams, all of the ripoffs, all of the failures, trying to say, you really don't want to do this, do you,
Hmm.
Wisconsin Republicans? And then, of course, here we are 10 years later, and there are still millions of Americans think that Donald Trump actually is a successful businessman. And, at a certain point, you just like, what,
It
what can you say? What evidence do you want?
hit this moment where Trump is really boxed in by his own incompetence too. I mean,
Mhm.
which is, when he cruised into the presidency 18 months ago, he had won the popular vote. People who would have never ever deigned to have voted for him were championing him. And then it's like what I'm reminded of is this idea Obama used to say by the time a problem ends up at his desk, it's unsolvable.
Yeah. Yeah, and, and it's not just the Donald Trump's incompetence, he has surrounded himself with, quite a gaggle of misfit toys. I mean,
Yeah.
and this is the Achilles heel of all authoritarians, right? Is that if you value loyalty and slavishness over competence and intelligence and honesty, guess what you're going to get? So he's surrounded himself with this Praetorian guard of people like Pete Hegseth and Cash Patel, and a staff that will never tell him, no, Grandpa, put the phone down. Don't say that. Do not compare yourself to Jesus Christ. Okay, so we know you like gold statues, but perhaps this is not quite the right moment. Please do
Mhm.
not say that you never think about anybody. Just don't do these things. So this is kind of the worst of all of the situations that an autocrat can be in, or the most dangerous for the rest of us, but also for them, is that they don't get the good advice and they're not protected from their own stupidity and their own greed.
So what do you think happens now? Because we have, there's like this frantic redistricting Republicans are doing. Some places yes, some places no.
Mm,
But really, it'll be a couple more seats and maybe it'll be four, maybe it'll be
yeah,
five. But, these are from 2024 numbers, which were
yeah.
Trump as a much more popular president than he was.
Mm.
But I mean, do you think that this satiates Trump or do you think he still tries more cheating and etc.? You
Oh, it
know?
absolutely does not satiate him. Actually, it's just an hors d'oeuvre. I think that what you're seeing, I'm really glad you asked this question because, so you had the Supreme Court decision on the Voting Rights Act, which was extraordinary. But then even more extraordinary was how
Extraordinary.
fast and how willing all of these Republican legislatures in all of these southern states were to immediately begin to eliminate all of these black majority districts. How quickly they jumped. Donald Trump said, jump. They said how high. Now, this is what's different in 2026 and 2028 than in 2020. Back then, Donald Trump wanted to overturn an election, but he didn't really have the infrastructure in place. And in a lot of states, Republican legislatures were not willing to go along with him in
Yeah,
Pennsylvania and other states. So what you're seeing is they are prepared to do anything to rig the election, and Republicans up and down are not going to push back against him.
right.
You think about how 2020 would have been different had it not been for principled Republicans in Arizona and in Georgia. Now, again, look around the country and ask where they are.
Yeah,
After what happened in Indiana, where all of the principled Republicans that didn't go along with the gerrymander, not all of them, but most of them were defeated. So in answer to your question, he's not satiated. And I think
right.
it's just an indication how far is Donald Trump willing to go. In some ways, it's a silly question because after January 6th, we know
We
how
should
far he's
know.
willing to
Yeah.
go. But again, now he has an entire political party that will do his bidding, no matter how egregious it is.
Yeah, it's not a good moment.
Not a good, no, it's not a good moment. No.
And I mean, I'll feel better if Democrats definitively win the midterms, the Senate and the House, and are able to seat their winners. If that happens, which is, I think, 75-25, you fair?
I
seventy
don't think.
thirty.
Well, I think it's likely they're going to win the House. I think it's I'm not
It's
sure it's
tight,
50-50 on the Senate,
right?
and I'm concerned that the Democrats are putting, 2 winnable Senate seats, in play that shouldn't
Michigan.
be, Michigan and Maine, and I
Yeah.
think you might look back on that and say, "Oh my, we should have won those 2 seats," and those 2 seats will make the difference between
Oh,
whether or
for
not
sure,
Donald
for
Trump gets
sure.
another Supreme Court justice,
For
whether he
sure, for
controls
sure.
the Senate, and Republicans have done this in the past, losing winnable seats, by having,
But
questionable candidates, so.
but let's talk about that for a minute because in Maine, I think Maine is different than Michigan.
Mm.
Maine, the people did not like. I mean, they did not they like Graham Plattner. I mean, I'm just say that I mean, like he did much better than Governor Mills. I mean,
Well,
like
d
not
yeah.
even close.
Well, no, and you're right, and it was foolish for the Democratic normies to put up, how old is she? Like 78, 79. I mean,
79, yeah.
okay, this is not the year to go with the geriatric candidates. It is
No, it's
just not. The
not.
voters do not
They still
want.
remember. Yes.
They seriously, I mean, what were
Yeah.
you thinking? This was your magic bullet that you were going to do that? So there's a certain, you were talking about tone deafness. There's a certain tone deafness
Right.
there, and I think they might pay a price. Just keep in mind, though, that it is May, and that between May and November, the Republicans will be dropping hundreds of millions of dollars of Oppo research.
Yeah.
So people, and I know people don't like to hear this, but you may say, "Well, I don't want to talk about that. I don't want to hear about that," or "That doesn't matter." Well, it
What's
matters if $100 million of negative advertising is dropped that will flip a Senate seat. And I
right.
worry about that. But to your point, it is so important that the Democrats do win the midterms, and then keep the momentum going through 2028. But you had a very interesting when you said that if they win and they get their winners seated, you
That's
know,
what I'm worried about.
when have we ever worried about that sort of thing before? And I
Yeah.
think it's legitimate that you raise that concern
Yeah.
that And going back to your question, what are they prepared to do? Would they refuse, obviously throw up bogus conspiracy theories and then refuse to seat the winners of those elections? Is that conceivable? It's absolutely
Absolutely
conceivable.
conceivable. The one thing that I think we've seen with Trump historically is like with January 3rd or 6th, January 6th.
6.
Yeah, is that people, if his elites push back,
Yeah.
he will ultimately do the legal thing. Not always, but, like, when it comes to, when his elite said you have to tell them to go home, he finally did it. So, like, what I think will happen, and I don't know what it'll look like,
Mm.
but my guess is it will look something like Democrats will win either Congress or
Yeah.
the House, the
Yeah.
Senate, or both, and then Trump will say it's a fake, it's not true, and then Democrats will have to prove and prove and prove what we all know to be true, and then he'll eventually let them do what they're supposed to do by law, but that's really scary even just talking that through.
No, I think you're right, but also take a step back from that.
It's fucked.
No, no, no. See, yeah, well, exactly. That you go through this process, and at the end of the day, what level of confidence do the American people have in the electoral system, or the fairness of that system? And when the American people, on basically because of hyper tribalism, essentially decide that they don't really trust the democratic process anymore,
Right.
then we have broken something fundamental. And so, while we're focused on Trump versus the Democrats right now, I think that we ought to realize that Trump has taken a sledgehammer to the pillars, the undergirding of any democratic society, which is some confidence in the rule of law, confidence that the constitutional
Yeah.
process works.
Yeah.
And I think the level of cynicism by the time we are, through this term is going to be through the roof. And I think we're
Yeah.
seeing signs of that already.
Yeah. I mean, no question. And it's just wild to be here right now. It's a really bad sign. Charlie Sykes, thank you for joining me.
Thank you. Anytime. You know that.
You're the best.